Hello and welcome to Azur Lane Meta. If after this video you want to help support the channel, please check out my affiliate store at kit.co/AzurLaneMeta. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest event. It is the Muse event. We are currently in maintenance, and this is the event that will come on the other side of maintenance. And it is the new Muse event, the sequel to the previous Muse event, otherwise known as Universe in Unison. Really excited for this event. There are a lot of SR ships here. We got plenty coming from Gacha. We got plenty that are going to be obtainable through rewards as well. So that is going to be really neat. There's going to be a very musical section. I'm not sure what we're going to get. Maybe some musical items. Typically these ships tend to be a little bit weaker than their OG forms, but we will take a look. A reminder from the last time I did one of these videos, I have not looked at any of these ship datas before. The data that we're getting is from a data mine, which means that it could change slightly. In the past, there have been updates at the last second, so we could see some changes. This is not a final list. This is also my first take, so I might miss something. If I do miss something, let me know down in the comments so that other people can know. Once again, this is trying to get you guys the information as quickly as possible so you can make decisions about what you want to go for on your gacha. If you want to have a more full, thorough analysis on these ships, give me a little bit of time to test them. Join my Discord, ask some help maybe in a week or so, and I'll give you a better analysis. But for now, we're doing a first look. I've not looked at these ships at all yet. I just opened up the data mine on my laptop, and this will be my first take. Okay, starting off, we have the Illustrious Muse, and she obviously is the same aircraft carrier. Her stats almost look identical or less. So she, in pretty much every category, she has the same stat as the original or lower. So that's, not good. Interestingly enough, we see obviously the fighter torpedo slot is the same, but the efficiencies on the fighters are lower and the efficiency on the torpedo bomber is higher. So I feel like that's a buff, but it's interesting. All right, so let's look at this skill. Upon own airstrike being ready, slow down all enemies on screen by 30% for 4 seconds, and then trigger one of these abilities. Well, that's kind of interesting. It's on being ready rather than on strike. Okay, that's interesting. And slowing them down by 30% is pretty good, so we can set up for another slowing effect. First of the randomly triggered abilities, I don't really like randomly triggered abilities, but we'll see what they are. Lower all enemies on-screen evasion by 15% for 10 seconds. Not too bad, not fantastic though. Increase the Vanguard's damage dealt by 15% and reduce the main fleet's damage taken by 10% for 10 seconds. This is actually really good because she has the double fighter slot. She can actually launch pretty early, and that will be able to allow you to play some defense in PvP and things like that. Vanguard damage dealt is actually not too bad anymore as we start to get better cruisers and stuff. And I really like this one. If you could guarantee this roll every time, I think we're in business. Let's see what this last one is. Increase main fleet's damage dealt by 10% and reduce Vanguard's damage taken by 10% for 10 seconds. Okay, so that's actually the better one. More damage from the main fleet, more survivability for the Vanguard fleet. This skill is actually really good. 2/3 chance of getting really good abilities. The last one being actually the best one. The second one being very good as well. The first one is kind of weak, so this is a very good skill. The second one is this barrage, dropping off some sparkles. It's nice that it triggers on 100% and it does decent damage. Overall, this is a great ship. I would say this ship probably is, this ship's very good. I think it's not like I think it's definitely an upgrade over the original Illustrious, in my opinion. I gotta check. Are these, it looks like she has the same plane setup as well, the same number of planes. I didn't actually check that. So this actually looks like an upgrade over OG Illustrious, which is kind of interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the Muse ships being better than the originals, but we'll take a look. All right, next up we have Roon Muse, and we'll take a look. Interestingly enough, she's actually more beefy. She has more HP. Actually, same firepower, same. Okay, stat-wise, this is actually an upgrade over Roon PR. That's kind of weird. Okay, efficiencies are the same. We still get our main gun +1. Everything looks to be about the same. Actually, better. She really looks better. Let's get into the skills. I'm actually really interested here. Every 15 seconds after the battle starts, fire a musical note barrage. You can see that here, and that looks pretty decent. Not like amazing, but a pretty good set of damage we got going there. Enemies hit by the barrage take 10% more damage for 6 seconds. That's always nice. It's also not locked to like any. Yeah, that's pretty nice. If this barrage only hits one enemy, so that's for like boss fleeting. Interesting. Reduce the enemy's speed to 0, so it can't move. That means that it's stuck. There's no. It's not like, yeah, it's completely stuck, frozen for 3 seconds. That's probably the best freeze that we have in the game so far. It's actually really good. Now it has to hit a single target, and if I look at this barrage again, especially with that AP ammo coming out, that actually might be difficult to only hit a single target, if I'm going to be completely honest. But like, I don't think that will work in PvP. But anyway, it will fire an additional torpedo barrage as well, and you can see that in the clip. That's the torpedoes coming out. This is a pretty good barrage. The conditional freeze is kind of meh, but if you can get it to go, it'd be great. If you need it for something like Taihou in World 13, where you have just Taihou alone after you kill her little friends, then you can actually freeze her, which could be nice. It freezes 3 seconds, which is kind of long actually for a freeze like that. Moving on. At the start of a battle, gain 2 sets of spinning torpedoes. You can see that in the barrage clip, and we'll show it here again. Every blue shield blocks 8 bullets, so that's pretty good. So that's 2 sets of blue shields, so that's like 16 bullets possible. They rotate, so it's not like fixed position like some other ships, but that's okay. Then we have a red shield causes extra damage on collision up to 8 times. Shields last for 15 seconds and respawn every 30 seconds. So you're going to be in these shields half the time. Starting the first 15 seconds of the battle, then you're out for the next 15, then you're on for the next 15, you're out. It's so going to alternate every 15 seconds. That's actually really good. Even for PvP, because you're going to get those shields. And this collision damage thing, we don't have a clip. I can't tell you right now whether or not it was collision with the shields, but how I read this is if somebody runs into that shield, you deal damage. Or it might also mean if you run into the ship. I'm not exactly sure how the mechanic works, but with how far out those red shields are, this seems like it could be good. I'll have to test it out when we get live on our server, hopefully in a little bit. And then we have a standard barrage, and this musical note barrage is actually really, really nice. It has very direct stream at the beginning, and then it actually spreads out for some mob control at the end. This is a very nice barrage with a lot of damage. Overall, I think Roon Muse is an upgrade over Roon. This is actually kind of sad to me because now there's very little incentive to grind Roon. Well, not really, because the best KMS frontline right now is going to be Roon Muse and Roon. And then mains, I think, is probably Roon Muse. Roon and mains is probably the best front line. Maybe Leipzig in there. I don't know. Yeah, this is really good, I guess. Next up, we have the Malin Muse. And so let's take a look at her. She's a destroyer for VG France. Much of the same stats. Actually, she has a little bit more firepower, a little less anti-air. Effectively, we're going to be getting the same type of ship. All of our limit break skills are pretty much identical. We have the same weapon efficiencies, so more or less the same ship. So let's see what the skills got for us today. Every 20 seconds after battle starts, stop moving for 3 seconds. Interesting. So another stop moving, but it stops her. So that's actually pretty bad. I'm pretty sure that will stop your whole Vanguard for 3 seconds. So interesting. All right, what do we get? We summon this Angel Airstrike that has 50% chance to recover 3% of the HP. So you can see here, it does actually interesting damage. She can deal airstrike damage. So that's unique, very unique. The damage is not nothing, actually. It's pretty good. The heal is pretty negligible. We're 50% chance at 3% is nothing. But this skill is interesting because now we have another Vanguard ship that can deal aviation damage. So yeah, and it scales off the torpedo stat. So that's interesting. So we don't have to add like air power to this ship like you would on like Fubuki or something like that. Okay, moving on. At the start of the battle, increase this self firepower by 20%. Okay, that's not too bad. If I remember the Malin destroyer before, it was not great, but she's kind of she's like focused on firepower a little bit. It would be nice actually for the torpedo buff given the first skill. But anyway, and then we self buff 3% every time she kills an enemy, which can stack 3 times. So we can max this out to 29%. It looks like it sticks for the whole battle. So that's a good chunk of firepower. Like I said, our base firepower for a ship like this is pretty minuscule. But let's see, we have a second paragraph here. Self-damage taken reduced by 5%. That's good. It would have been nice if it was like 20 or something, but 5%, we'll take it. And a little bit more survivability. Every 25 seconds, we heal all destroyers in the fleet by 3%. So she's a healer. And then she also has this barrage very targeted toward the center. It's the star barrage. Very good. This ship, I believe, is also an upgrade on the original Malin too. We see kind of more ability to be a healer. We have still a lot of the damage from the barrage that's targeted at a single target. And we get airstrike damage, which can help with some of the... Yeah, this ship looks like another upgrade. So I'm looking, so far, I'm pretty sure all 3 ships that I've reviewed are upgrades over their original forms. A little bit different take than the first Muse ship event that we went around on. And the reason that I actually talked about these 3 ships first is because these are what I call the free ships. You can get these without any gacha luck. You can get the Roon Muse, you can get her from the event shop. You can get the Illustrious Muse from as a milestone award, so you just really have to play the event a little bit. And then you get the Malin from getting 7 universe period things, which you basically get from clearing the mini music game, which should be a lot of fun. It's going to be kind of like those Bang Dream game or something like that. So you get these ships for free. The next ships I'm going to be talking about are going to be the Raid Up Gotchas, Taihou, Tashkent, Dido, and then obviously Albacore and Baltimore are the Raid Up Elites. And then also note that we will be getting the original Muses added to the pool, but they won't be Raid Up. So potential to get like Gascon and some of the other ones like Akagi and stuff in this event as well. So anyway, we'll go back and we'll continue on our delving into what these ships look like. All right, next up we have Dido. And this one actually has probably more stat differences than any of the ones I've looked at so far. A little bit more HP, a little bit less firepower, but still nothing really too noticeable. You won't notice much performance differences based on the skills. We have the limit breaks are the same, and the efficiencies, we lose 5% gun efficiency for 5% anti-air efficiency, not necessarily in the right direction that we want to be going. Okay, first skill we have at the start of battle, if this is the only ship in the Vanguard, increase the flagship's anti-air by 15% and fire a barrage every 20 seconds. Okay, that's meh. At the start of the battle, if there are other ships in the Vanguard, increase all Vanguard ships' speed by 3 and accuracy and anti-air by 15% and fire an enhanced special barrage. Okay, so they kind of tricked us. I was thinking this was going to be a loner ship, but it's definitely better with other Vanguard ships. Giving extra speed and accuracy is very nice. And also your Vanguard ships probably are going to be able to boost up your anti-air more anyway, for the most part. This barrage is very lackluster, so nothing special here. Let's move on. 60 seconds after the start of the battle. Never like to hear anything that activates that late in the battle, but we'll read it. Self-evasion is plus 15%. Okay, whatever. For every 2 kills this ship makes, self-anti-air is plus 10%. It stacks up to 3 times, so we can get to 30%. It lasts for the whole battle. And then we have, finally, this musical barrage. Just straight up the middle. What is this damage? Damage is okay, I guess. I would argue this is the first ship so far we've seen that is a downgrade from the original form. She almost takes a very different role, though. So they're not even trying to do the same thing. This is kind of like an anti-air ship. I don't think this is a super relevant ship to pick up. They're a better anti-air ship for the Vanguard. There's literally Cheshire for the HMS. So yeah, she's not even best in faction. She's not even the best Ditto in my opinion. So I guess that's that. All right, next we're going to be looking at Taihou. I'm really interested about this one because Taihou could have been a really good ship, but I think the original Taihou just, I don't know, they just kind of messed her up. So I think they could really fix her with the Muse version of her. Stat-wise, she's a lot less beefy. She does have 400 air power instead of 399, so that's kind of nice. But overall, she's probably worse stat-wise. In terms of her layout, we still have the 332, and we have the same efficiencies as well, so nothing to change here. So let's look at the skills. Fire a barrage upon airstrike. If self HP is above 45%, spend 200 HP to enhance the barrage. Ooh, I really like the type of skill this is. You give up your own HP to actually deal more damage. This is kind of like a self-burn. I like this. I mean, kind of Jeanne d'Arc kind of has this kind of skill. Wow. Okay, this is a very powerful barrage when it's enhanced. We got a 1,000-pound bomb. Obviously, it only scales on 80% of the air power, which is like, okay, but we got a 1,000-power bomb. These are going to be your Sakura Empire torpedo bombers, so they're going to be homing, and I feel like this is going to be an upgrade over the original Taihou's random RNG version, where you're just kind of like, I'm hoping that I launch the planes that I need. This one's like guaranteed, and it's enhanced to be more powerful if you have a lot of HP. Okay, this not amazing, but it's effectively better than I think original Taihou. I'd have to look exactly at the damage output for expected value, but I think the consistency alone makes this better. Damage-wise, yeah. Okay, let's go to the second one here. At the start of the battle, for every other Muse ship, there we go, here's the synergy. In the fleet, increase the own aviation by 6%, stacks 4 times, so we can get a 24% buff on our aviation stat. That's very good. Yeah, that's just straight good. That's almost like 100. That's like 100 stat. That's like getting a gold catapult, basically, if you play with the Muse fleet. And if you play with Gascon, you can even buff that further. Pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Upon taking damage and HP falling below 35%. Okay, so she kind of has to worry about where her health pool is. Interesting. This is not something you expect to activate in something like PvE. If your ships are getting below 35% health, you probably need to rethink your fleet situation or level up a little bit more. Anyway, when this happens, you're going to fire a special barrage, and this barrage looks sick. I'll look at how much damage it deals in a second, but it looks sick. And you heal the self 8% of the damage dealt. That could actually be a lot or a little. We'll have to see what it is. Maximum 1 trigger per battle, and then reduce the self airstrike load time by 20% afterwards. Okay, so she actually gets a faster airstrike, which I guess is decent. Remember that we're talking about the fact that she's under 35% health. Yes, she heals for 8% of the damage dealt. Let's look at this damage. Okay, the damage is decent, but it's not going to be like 8%. She's not going to heal very much, is what I'm saying. So she's not healing very much. A little bit, it's nice, but it's not very much. And she is already low on health, so this kind of just ensures that you're going to get another barrage off. This is not going to be like an early strike at all. I mean, she seems to be on par. I would argue that she's a little bit, I don't know, because Taihou has this 20% reduction of damage taken and whatnot. I guess the nice part is she is a plus 7,000 HP carrier with heavy armor, so that's pretty good. The barrage definitely is an enhancement, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and say that these guys are on par, maybe slightly above. This Muse ship is actually slightly above. So next up is Tashkent. This is the ship that I'm probably most excited for at least by artwork reasons. Really excited to see what they did and what kind of budget Tashkent that we get. Okay, so looking at this here, well, this is kind of interesting. This is the first ship that I see a significant difference in the stats between the original and the Muse version. We see a big decrease in firepower and anti-air, but we see a big increase in torpedo stat. So we're kind of switching from that firepower anti-air form to more of a torpedo form, at least stat-wise. We don't see anything different on the limit break or on the equipment. are the efficiencies. And I guess if we're actually changing to torpedoes, we'd like to see some more torpedo efficiency. But we'll see what the skills bring to us. At the start of the battle, we summon our little fairy for 50 seconds, so that's kind of what the original does. Upon it hitting an enemy 10 times, it causes special armor break, and the enemy takes 5% more damage from aviation, and the debuff sticks for the whole battle. This is interesting because the original fairy would actually create a speed debuff that could go up to 15%, which was actually like really good for PvP and had some interesting mechanics. And it dealt a lot of damage. It looks like the damage is going to be pretty same for this fairy here, but the skill is different. The armor break is interesting. I know it's armor break, so that's kind of interesting, especially on a destroyer like her. The extra aviation damage, I guess this is Tashkent's a PvE ship anyway, so I guess that's not like nothing. You're gonna be probably using her in situations where you're gonna use a carrier anyway. This fairy, I personally like it less. I like the slowing down of my opponent's ships, but that's just me. This is still pretty good fairy. The fact that it has to hit 10 times though kind of puts me off as well. Okay, moving on to the second skill, we have for the first 3 battles of a sortie, increase the self firepower by 12%. On the 4th battle, increase the anti-air by 12%. Okay, that's kind of janky. Obviously, as I said, she has less firepower. We're not touching torpedo stat at all in this skill. The anti-air buff on the 4th battle just seems really random. I don't know, this skill seems kind of weird. I guess we'll take it, right? And then we have this nice ice barrage. I think Tashkent here is just strictly worse than her original form. So if you were looking to pick up a Tashkent to replace the original, this is probably not the one. You'll probably have to wait for that rerun event. But she's still very solid, so if you need Tashkent, this is a good ship. This event actually has a lot of ships that are very, very utility and usable so far. I think we have only the elites left. We pretty much covered all the SRs. There are 6 of them. Yeah, this is the last SR. So we got 2 more elites. We got Baltimore and Albacore, but all the SRs are pretty decent. I would say that Roon is a straight upgrade over Roon, so she's pretty good. She's probably the top target of the SRs that I see here that you want. And then Illustrious and Taihou are kind of interesting buffs on their original takes. I don't think they're going to be particularly meta in their current form here, but yeah, I just don't see that happening. But they are pretty good. Illustrious's skill, I'm really excited to play around with that. The one that allows you to have like a random following effect when your airstrike becomes ready could be really useful. Also, how I read that is that when it becomes ready, which means that it will trigger and then she can launch her airstrike and buff herself. I don't know. I really like it. The RNG factor is kind of a little wanky, but we'll kind of deal with it. Taihou has a really neat barrage, but once again, it's just like a carrier. It's just a damage carrier. Like Shinano, she's not going to pass Shinano or Hiru, so it's not like PvP meta is going to change at all. Dido seems kind of just like a weird swap from a regular Dido like ship to this anti-air ship that's not nearly as good as other like tier 1 ships in the category, so that's all right. But she's like not a bad AA boat for people who are just brand new to the game. Like this is like their first event or second event or something like that. And then Tashkent, I think Tashkent is a downgrade from the original Tashkent. Tashkent Muse is a downgrade, but she's still pretty solid. She still has her fairy for extra damage, and I don't know, she's gonna be a good PvE ship for dealing with endgame things and grinding and whatnot. And Malin is interesting. I like Malin because she deals that airstrike damage, so some uniqueness. I think the original Malin definitely needed some help, and I think this one's unique. Malin is unique, and I think she's probably better than the original as well. So this cast is very good. I'm not necessarily this cast is not as throwaway as the last Mew cast, and definitely could potentially now you could build a good Mew fleet. So rip me for retiring my Gascon Mew from the last event. I guess I can pull her again, but no rate up this time around. So let's look at Baltimore. Baltimore is an elite. This is a really weird concept that we're going to be downgrading our ship, because obviously Baltimore is typically an SR. Albacore is also typically an SR. They have these be elites. Kind of weird. I guess they needed to have some elites, and I think they're just kind of trying to go with popular ships. So despite her being downgraded in terms of rarity, her stats don't necessarily reflect that. She has a little bit less firepower, but she has more HP, and realistically, her stats are on par with her SR stats. So she doesn't really have elite stats here, and that is really interesting to note. But the efficiencies are noticeably worse. She has the same anti-air efficiency, but the destroyer slot is 20% less, and the heavy cruiser slot is 5% less. So we do see that difference. So I would argue she is straight worse in stats, but not that much for being a rarity downgrade. So every 20 seconds, there's a 70% chance to switch the main gun ammo to special ammo for 10 seconds, and it's a 100% chance to trigger this at the start of the battle. So it looks like it triggers right out the bat, and we have bullet multiples of 100, 110, and 120. Those are actually very good multiples there. This is actually a good ammo change. The original Baltimore has an ammo change as well, which I think are 85, 120, 85. So in terms of the ammo that we're changing to, this is arguably better. I guess not against medium armor, but I would argue that this is a definite increase in the ammo type. Now, this is not really guaranteed, kind of. It's guaranteed for the first 10 seconds. In the second 10 seconds, you're back down to her normal ammo. And then the third 10 seconds, you have a 70% chance to toggle back on. This is wanky. This seems really RNG-like because, yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't know. It's weird, but it's all right. Okay. Moving on. At the start of the battle, if there is another Muse ship or a CV in the fleet, and this, or a light cruiser or, a light carrier or a carrier, and that can be anyone. So unlike her original form that needed a US one, I think it needed a US one. No, yeah, it did need a US carrier. This one can be anyone, so it's a little bit more splashable, so that allows you to use your Illustrious Muse, your Taihou Muse, and your Akagi Muse. Are there any other? I don't think there are any other carrier Muse ships. Those are the ones I remember at the top of my head. So those ones you can actually use. You can actually use any Muse ship or any carrier. Okay, so that's actually a lot. Self-evasion boost by 15%, and all Vanguard ships gain 15% anti-air. This is not bad. It's really easy to trigger. The fact that they have it be a trigger is kind of funny because it's so easy to trigger, but I guess, yeah, it's fine. You can even trigger it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, okay. It's so easy to trigger. That's all I gotta say. And then we have this barrage here. It's really quick, really simple, right up the middle. Nothing that special. This ship is usable. It's very usable. It's a downgrade in rarity. It's also a downgrade from the original Baltimore, but it's very usable and very splashable. And if you get enough RNG, that armor typing that you switch to, or the ammo typing that you switch to, is actually pretty solid. And last but not least, we have Albacore. She has less health. Not really too important for a submarine, though. She has less torpedo stat. That's very important for a submarine. What about this oxygen here? The oxygen is the same, so at least base-wise. And efficiencies, we have just lower efficiency on the main submarine slot. So this looks like a pretty big downgrade for stat-wise, at least for Albacore. So let's see what we have in terms of skills. Oxygen is plus 20, so that adds some more oxygen. That's not great, but I guess we'll take it. Wind surfacing, fire a torp barrage that has 70% chance to cause armor break when hit. When retreating from battle, fire a torpedo barrage that has a 70% chance to cause burning on hit. This just adds a little bit extra damage. I think the original Albacore has one when it's resurfacing that does burn damage. Then the second skill is just her standard barrage. The original one also has another skill that increases damage dealt to destroyers like cruisers and aircraft carriers by 10%. I know you get an extra barrage. You get one on surfacing, and you get one on You get one on surfacing just like the original. You get some 20 extra oxygen, and then you get an additional one when you retreat, but you do lose that 10% damage boost, and the stats are actually noticeably different. So this is not really worth your time. Albacore is probably the least important ship that we have here that I would not recommend going for. Definitely kind of collectible tier. I guess if you can time like Gascon or yeah, really just like I don't know. She's like not very good. So a very interesting lineup. Definitely something that could be worth your cubes. So typically Muse ships are kind of weird for me because like half of them are skins and half of them are their individual ships. So that's here nor there. But we do get new equipments, which could be extremely different. So let's go take a look at those. So we have 3 different bands. It's kind of weird. You kind of have you have the Allied bands, the Axis band, and then you have like the French band by itself. So you get basically this equipment that is the same. It provides 35 anti-air and 30 accuracy. It's gold universal, and they're all identical. The only difference between them is they all change background music, which is really cool. I love items that change background music, but they all change it to a different song. So it's almost like you get to pick the song. A really unique type thought process here where you basically get to equip your song. However, this is not a very good equipment. The accuracy at 30 is still outclassed by gold SG radar or the high performance fire control radar, and those ones give you actually like other relevant abilities like evasion or firepower, and obviously the skill of launching early. So I really don't, and the anti-air, the 35 anti-air is not very much. It's not gonna make a difference. You typically don't even want that type of stat on your ships here. This is not a great item. This is a meme item. If you really like one of these songs though, definitely put it on somebody and meme a little bit, but it's not really gonna be that good on any of your front line and your back line. There's just better items. These are collectible only for if you want to change that background music. One thing that I really liked about Akimo is it wasn't breaking the metal mold, but it had some speed and fire HP. It was unique, and it definitely like you could make an argument to actually run it, especially like in PvP or something. So like you could actually run the item. These are pretty much straight downgrades from the best in slot equipments. They're not like they're purple, so it's not like they're less prints to level up. Use these only if you like the music and want a meme. I'll be interested to see if any of you guys put these in your defense fleets though, because that'll be pretty cool. Anyway, we got 2 more. We have this little shoe thing. It's got 28 evasion and 5 speed, and the equipment ship counts as a Muse ship. Well, this is actually pretty good, actually. There's only like 2 items that I think have more evasion, which is like the Beaver Squad and the rudder or the steering gear, and those are really great. But this one gives you speed. This is probably one of the only items that gives you speed and evasion, at least in the gold auxiliaries. This is actually pretty solid. I mean, typically you're looking at 8 speed and the dodge. The evasion, you're trying to get like 35 or 40. So you are taking a little bit of hit, but this one's actually very usable, especially if you want that Mew equipped. Kind of like when the Hololive got the ability to make any ship a Hololive with the Hololive equipment. This kind of reminds me of that. And I like this one. Speaking of that equipment, this next one also counts as a Muse ship, and it also has 550 health. So it's literally a copy of that Hololive item from the Hololive event. Obviously substituting Muse. So you can make any 2 ships Muse ship. So now you can actually like play some of those synergy ships that you need for the Muse ships, but you can actually take any ship in the game and you can make them. You can actually do that twice. At 550 health, like you can put that on a destroyer. So if you want to make a Mew Yukikaze, this is actually just a fine item for that. And the other one, these 2 items on the bottom here are probably gonna pick them up just to be safe. If you plan on running Muse ships, you should definitely pick both of them up. The one on the left looks unique to me. I might actually use it. The ones on top are all collectible, but items are cool, I guess. All right, guys. I don't have full setup of how the map's gonna work. Obviously, we did have the patch notes. You can look them. I have them on my Twitter. It kind of talks about what we have. We obviously have the music event. I'm really excited to play that. A little bit of a change up for the mini game. And I heard rumors that the SP mode is going to have a baguette gun. I mean, you can't really farm on the SP mode, but that is interesting, I suppose. That's really it for this event. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this will give you an early access to some of the ships that you might want to pull in this event so you can spend your cubes wisely. And I'll make any amendments that come across in the pinned comment below. And if you want any more in-depth analysis, some damage calculations, we're going to probably be doing those over the course of the next week on my Discord server in case you want kind of a follow-up on this video.